Hello, this is Lily. We're going to be making a beautiful centerpiece in this golden bowl today. But before I get into this bowl, let's just go ahead and let this soak because it's going to take a little while. Let's just do this way. And then I press down just to get an indentation of the edge, and that way I know where to cut it. So it doesn't need to be perfectly round. I can just cut it right down here, and then it'll work just fine. When you place the foam in, you kind of want to just let it float and sink on its own and not push it down, because you don't want to have air bubbles, and it fills absorbs the water fairly quickly. And you don't even have to have it fully submerged because it'll just soak up the water. All right, so now let's talk about this bowl. So this bowl is made out of ceramic, but it has this coating on the inside of it, so it is waterproof. And then the outside has these striations with this lovely gold sheen. The flowers that we're going to be putting into this bowl today are going to be some pink spray roses. We have some hypericum berries, some myrtle leaves, some Eskimo white roses. They're more like a cream color. Some pink snapdragons, and then some lovely anemones. And just to help speed it up, I'm gonna turn it to its side a little bit and let it soak up that way. Okay, and then the tools we'll be needing, in addition to the foam, is just some pruning shears. Then I'm just gonna flip it over just to help it speed along, but not pushing it down, just letting it go on its own. Okay, so I think we are good. Put this down in here. And then I'm also going to pour some water into here. Okay, so as you can see, the foam is nice and secure because it fits perfectly on four of the corners. And then what I like to do when I start off is to use the greenery to kind of create the shape that I want. And when it comes to, you know, how tall to make this, the rule of thumb is to not go more than 3 times the height of the actual vessel. So that means that we can go 1 and then 2, so about right here. So I'm just going to cut off about 1 inch of this just to get the height that we need. And then we don't need this leaf down here, so I'm just going to take that off. So I'm going to stick this in the center so that we have our height. But I think I'm going to have it more low-lying, so that just shows you how tall it can be, but I'm not going to make it actually that tall. I think I just want to make it double the size. So it's going to be then around here. So I'm just going to strip the leaves off at the bottom. And you don't want to ever use the same hole because then the stem might not get full contact with the foam and absorb the water. So go ahead and put it in a new hole. And then I'm just going to create a circle around the top of the rim just to let us know how far out it's going to go, because I'm going to make it kind of dome shaped. Okay, so I think I want it to come out to about right here. So therefore I'm just going to cut it right here and take some of these leaves off at the bottom so I can stick it right into the foam. And doing the same thing, so measuring, putting my finger there just to know about where it's going to end up, and at the same angle as the other side, sticking it in. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So you see how it's not necessary to fill it in with foam right here because you can still access the foam. And I'm just going to fill in these spaces in between as well. Really matter which one you start off with. I'm just going to do a white rose. So now to do the height, it helps if you kind of stick it to the bottom and then you kind of cut it where you want it. So if I wanted to cut it, have it the rose end here, then I can cut right here. If I want it up here, then I'm going to cut up here. But I think, excuse me, that this seems about right for me. So go ahead and stick it on down. And then continuing with another white on this side. It doesn't have to be perfectly the same height. It kind of looks good if there's slightly variances. And then I'm going to go ahead and go with this delphinium. So this one, I'm going to cut it right around here. And then these leaves down here we don't need. So just peel those off. And then sticking this right over here. And I'm gonna put another flower right here to kind of help it stick up a little bit, or you can even use greenery for that actually. So yeah, why don't we do that? And you can do that, see how there's branches here? I can stick the delphinium right in between here. Okay, so I just want to make sure that it's going to be tall enough for what I want to do. And these, you know, it's still full of leaves, so go ahead and save it. You might be able to use that again later. See, there you go. Help support that delphinium a little bit so that's not flopping all the way over. Okay. Now I'm going to put some berries in on over here on the front side. So again, placing it here just to see the height, and already I can tell that because there's a Y shape here, I'm not going to be able to use the whole stem as is, so I have to cut them off of the main stem. Especially when you're doing dome-shaped flowers, always look at the way the flowers are facing. So they're facing over here to the left, and therefore you want to have them facing outward when you're placing them into the vase. And see how nicely that creates that rounded look that we want? And then never get rid of these little ones. You can always use them. So I just stuck that one right over here. Okay, and then let's add some lovely anemones. And I love having flowers together sometimes. It just creates more interest. So I'm going to go ahead and add another anemone right close by. And you don't have to do it the full length. You can always stick it in the foam and just have it end up wherever you want it instead of cutting to the exact length. And because of the way that this stem is shaped, and because I'm trying to fill in this hole right here, it's okay to go ahead and let it you know, stick further away from the center, because we're gonna fill this in with flowers. Actually, I want this to go up a little higher. So this one, I actually didn't stick it in the foam. I just stuck it into the crevice. So you can see, I stuck it into the crevice between the foam and the bowl. Okay, let's add some berries. And actually cutting them slightly shorter of where you want them to end up gives you more flexibility. So I'm gonna stick it right here. Again, I made it a little bit lower so that we can keep that dome shape that we're looking for. Okay, and then let's go ahead and fill in this space with some spray roses. And then I'm feeling like I want to have some leaves in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and take some of that myrtle and do just that. And I'm letting it stick up about an inch or so to create more interest. It's kind of nice, even though the overall shape is round, to have different heights going on. All right, so let's just go and fill in this space right here. Let's see. I think we have a lot of pink going on right there, so I am going to, actually we can use some delphiniums because they have white on it as well. So let's just go ahead and stick one of these in. And I love that the shape is already round, so that kind of helps us with the effect that we're going for. But I need to stick it a little bit further in because I don't want it to extend too far beyond the green leaves that we have here. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to work it from this back side in order to stick it in. All right, and then it'll be nice to have some white underneath there. Perfect. So those delphiniums are just resting right there on top of the rose. Okay, so let's see, what else do we need around here? I think it'd be nice to fill this in with some anemones. So let's just get a wide one going in there. I think this one will work nicely. So I think for this one, I decided to just go ahead and stick it in the water part and let it rest there. And so that works out well. Okay, and then with this one, I'm gonna try to come out a little bit further than that anemone. Almost close to the tip of the leaf, but not all the way out. Because like I mentioned, it's nice to have different lengths and not just like a perfect semicircle, or circle, I should say. Still have this gap right here to fill in, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do another rose there. All right, beautiful. And it looks like I could use some berries there. So I'm gonna take a smaller bunch. This one will do. I'm gonna go ahead and snip that off. And let's move the rose aside a little bit so we can slip this in here. Okay, I think that filled it in nicely. All right, so we still have this side to fill in, and I'm going to be adding some white roses. It's just one spot right here that needs to be filled in, and so I can do some snapdragon. would be nice to have some pink spray roses over there. And these are already bending too much for me to have it right down in here. See, that doesn't work out very well, so I'm gonna select some other ones that are more straight facing. See how that's a little bit different? And I'm just gonna pick off one of these petals because it's been damaged. We have to decide, do we want it facing down this way or this way? I think I'm going to do it this way because then we can see the buds from the top side. So I'm pushing it in because I don't want it to be all the way out where the leaves are, so that it maintains the shape. Okay, very nice. Okay, so there's just a little hole right here, and that might be a good spot to put an anemone. There's a lot of pink going on over here, so I'm going to go ahead and add more white. And since I'm really trying to maintain the shape, I'm going to go ahead and put the lower flowers in first. Ooh, and it hit something. There's too many stems in here. Okay, so I found a spot. We can always fill it up from above, but while I'm still able to see down below, I want to go ahead and use that to my advantage. I'm sorry, I have such a hard time pronouncing that. Anemone stems are a little bit soft, so sometimes they get squished trying to go through the foam. So I'm going to find a spot for this one and put it back in. I cut it because since I put in the foam, I cut it just to have a clean cut again. And the flowers open pores, but I'm just going to slip it in between the pot or the vase and the foam. So it's just in water right now. So that works out. Okay, wow, this is looking so full now, but there's still some open spots, so I'm definitely going to fill those in since we have a lot of flowers left. Let's see, let's do some more roses. As I'm looking around just at the overall circumference, just to see that it's all even, I think I still need something right here. So I'm going to put some, maybe some leaves. Now I'm just taking a look around to see if there's any open spots. And I think like right here seems to be a little bit open, so I'm gonna put some greenery in there. Yeah, I think it's plenty of flowers, so if anything, we just want to keep adding some more greenery. Yeah, and I do like to fill out with more greenery just to have kind of a nice base now that we have all our flowers in. And remember the stem that we used earlier where we cut the one of the branches off of here to use the tip of it? Well, now we can use the rest of it. What I'm doing is I am just kind of lifting the rose up a little bit so that I can get in between there and then just push it right on in. Okay, and then so we're good for the perimeter of the arrangement, but we also want to see if there's any that we want to stick up above. And I do feel that there needs to be maybe a leaf over here and maybe up over here. So let me find some nice branches for that. All right, I think I'm happy with this result. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and look forward to seeing you here next time. And if you're looking to purchase this bowl, it's available on Amazon, and there will be a link below.